let's get this body wrapped up. Let's start off with making a brand new tail pan for this thing and fixing the bottom corners of the quarter panels at the back, and that will pretty much set us all up. We're patching everything from the doors to that back corner once that filler panel's underneath. Let's go. Alright, so last night I finished up that filler piece down here on the bottom, got everything welded all the way across, and everything is completely ground off now, so that's pretty much it for the tail pan. Now I will say one thing about the way I made this. Up here on top, I made this edge come in straight, and I kind of did that assuming I was going to do a regular deck lid, not a rumble seat. Now this is totally fine if I do a regular style deck lid where it flips up towards the car. Coming in flat like this, that'll be totally fine because I can make my deck lid flat on this bottom edge as well, and then I could even put a seal on this surface, or you know, anything I want down here that way. However, if I do want to put a rumble seat in it, which I really wasn't 100% sure, I wasn't quite sold on what way I want to go yet. If I do want it rumble though, I'm probably going to have to cut this back off up here. Just because as the deck lid comes back this way, it actually has to kind of swoop down. This would either have to be way overbent downward for the deck lid to clear in, or it kind of would have basically been had to have been made this way up here, where the outside edge sticks up further and then drops down and comes in similar to this, so that deck lid would clear. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a standard deck lid on the thing, so this is going to work just fine. Came in this morning, finished up a little bit of pinhole welding on that bottom panel. As you saw, that's all done now. And I also made myself a template for my filler panel underneath the tail pan. So I fit this pretty good. It should be ready to roll. I need two of these, one on the top, one on the bottom, and then I need to make it 2 inches tall. So I'm gonna lay these out, mark 2 of these out, get it cut. We'll get the strip cut, get this thing tacked together, and do a little bit of fitting on there, make sure it's good. If it looks right, I'll finish welding it up, and we're on our way to the sides of the car. Get this mounted, and then it's onto the sides of the car. Well, that is it. My filler panel is installed. That worked out pretty nice with those oversized holes for the driver. Got self-tappers 5 inches on center up there holding it to the body. Turned out nice. Everything stayed in shape. I'm gonna go ahead and start basically up here right behind the door. Start making this piece, cut everything off, make some templates, get it done. We'll do the bottoms first and then move up to the top here. And I'm just gonna fill the old fender mounting holes right in all the way around. I'll drill new holes when I fit the fenders back to the thing. So let's start up here. Alright guys, so here's the current state of where I'm at over here on the quarter panel. Obviously nailed out that front patch. That was pretty easy and straightforward. Put a 5/8 lip on the bottom, made sure it came out at the same flatness of this angle iron, basically where it sits right now. Also, I put an angle iron on it and basically lined that up with the bottom of where the body needs to be up here and on the bottom of the rear panel. That gave me a pretty much perfect plane to work all my patches off, which as you can tell are all sitting on here now. I got this one trimmed up for the wheel arch opening here, or the wheel well, inner wheel well, and the front one up here, that also is laying perfectly flat on the angle iron as well. As you can tell here, I had to put a splice in here pretty much about 5 inches up from the back and pull that down to touch off to the angle iron as well. I actually rolled this just a little bit in the shrinker. I shrunk this bottom lip to give it the crown of the body here, and I think by doing that I actually raised myself up a little. I was sitting flat from here up, and then I had a little pull at the back side. So between the welding up here on top, which also by the way I had a huge gap up here on the top side, it was about an 1/8 inch wide. I actually made my panel a little bit too short, but I shot the gap anyway so I didn't have to remake the piece, and it all turned out just fine. But yeah, I had to cut that little bit here and pull the bottom lip down tight to the angle iron and shoot that gap to get that set up. That's all good. Once that's ground down, that's gonna look great. It looks terrible right now, but we'll get to the grinding here shortly. As for this piece here that I just fit in here, well, a lot of things, a couple of things anyway. I got my lip bent on the bottom. It's a half inch on this piece. So we got that bent on the bottom of it, and I also, as you can tell, drew some lines. for the body lines here to try to extend those out. I have 2 lines right here as well that are going to match up with this bend, so I'm going to try to put that into here as well. And back here where this comes in, I marked that out as well. I'm going to bead roll that so it sets in, so when this piece of material here sets into it, it actually comes out flush. It won't be sitting on the top or the face side. It will actually recess in a little bit when I run the bead roll. You guys will see how that works here in a second. But the biggest thing, these, I'm going to try to come up with some type of method to put a round radius on the end of these to kind of match in with these and try to get them all the same height off the angle iron as well, so it pretty much looks uniform all the way front to back. So that's where I'm at right now. Let's see if I can make some of these dimples, dents, and bends in here and make it work out for the car. Alright, so I got a little bit of time into forming these body lines in this panel right now. Experimented a little bit with how I wanted to do it, and as you guys saw, I carved a notch into a 2x4 basically and used that as basically a die. Took the sandbag out for a second. That really wasn't working for me, so used the 2x4, made that happen. These are the 2 bead rolls on these lines, hammered that out a little. You can see I got my kick in there. That lines up really nice right there. And as for hammering this first dimple in, that's gonna work out just fine. Once I start putting some heat to this, get a little heat on each side, I'll be able to form that right into this body roll. And any of this rippling, I'll do a little bit more of a finish hammer on it, but most of this rippling in here, that'll grind right off. It's just in the surface of the steel from forming it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back here, and actually I didn't show you this either. I used the bead roller to try to basically get started here with this body line, but it's so tight you really can't do that nicely with only being an inch and an eighth wide, whatever these body lines are. So I have a start, which actually helped out quite well when I put it in that 2x4 to start hammering. So kind of tells me where I need to be. I'm going to go ahead and hammer these other 2 out. Should be good to go. Should be able to wrap this into this once that heat starts going on. As for the back corner here, I did put that notch in, hammered this upper corner because I couldn't get it tight enough on the bead roller either. And that, if I wouldn't have dropped it, once that pulls tight, it's going to be into that indent, and basically the face side of this will be flush with that. So let me hammer these other 2 out and we'll start welding this in. Well, that is it over here. Driver's side is patched up. This new panel up here, that turned out really nice. Got a little bit of hammering to do here on the line, but honestly, it's pretty close where it sits right now. This body line here turned out great, matches in nice, and hammering these ends with that 2x4, for as quick and crude as that operation was, they actually turned out really nice. You really can't tell that those aren't the complete factory stampings in here. Turned out great doing it that way. Up here on top, you might have caught too that I cut out 3 blown out fender holes, put some new steel in there, weld and ground all that stuff off. Basically gonna start over on the fender bolt holes when I get to that point. And back here, well, this bead roll and a little bit of hammering in the corner to fit that tight. That turned out really nice as well. Got the lower panel fitting in here pretty much flush. Yeah, a little bit further in than flush, and that looks like it should. So basically that's it for this side. I'm gonna jump over to the passenger side, breeze through it, basically repeat the same process as over here, and that pretty much wraps up all the patching on the back end of the Yard Art Model A. And that is one passenger side complete. That pretty much wraps up all the patching on the back end of the Model A and pretty much all the patching on the entire body at this point, except for where the metal termites got in back here and kind of ate this out and down in the body line. I'll have to address that at some point too, but all the major panels are now patched and complete. Next video is going to be on the roof. I'm going to put a steel roof on here, get it bead rolled, make my own bows out of steel up there, 1/2x1/2 steel, and this is going to be the next order of business. So the roof video is going to be next, and I'm actually going to jump on that and start working on it right away. Try to get that all wrapped up. That'll be the next video, and after that it's going to be floor pans. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. It looks like I absolutely destroyed this GoPro lens from all the welding in this video. Till next time.